Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Gale. I'm a outsourced business consultant and I'm a business coach. Working nationally with small to medium-sized businesses. More locally, I support over 475 businesses, supporting them to grow their business, to get more business, to be better at what they do. I've been approached by a lot of people in the hospitality industry to pose some questions to me. That's not my field of expertise, but I know somebody whose it is. So I met Matt on social media, and he has over 30 years experience in hospitality. So I'm posing the questions that have been posed to me to Matt, who's an expert. We're going to cover lots and lots of different areas. Loads of people know people in hospitality, friends, family, that kind of thing, that might have challenges and they just want answers to those questions. So we're going to do some questions with Matt from Number 10 Consultancy, who can help in bars, restaurants, hotels, venues, cafes, all that kind of thing, with his vast experience up and down the country, to get you more profit out of your hospitality business. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Linda. What an intro that is. That's very good.
Great to have you here.
No, it's brilliant. Thank you for inviting me. It's great.
There's so much that we're going to go through.
Yeah.
Matt is an expert in his field, and we're going to run through a load of questions that have been posed of me.
Yeah.
That I'm now handing over to you.
Brilliant. Okay, let's go. So I came into the industry 1993 as a 23-year-old. First started off at Witcher Brewery and Hobgoblins. Most people have heard of the beer. So that was in a very small brewery in Witney in West Oxfordshire. Sort of joined as a rat catcher, cask cleaner, drayman, general dog's body. But it was just great fun. And then the business really took off. Not because I was there, but the business took off. So I ended up becoming a brewer. But if you spoke to a brewer, they'd be really insulted that I actually use that terminology. Basically looked after a giant kettle and knew what time to do things, which was good. And then it moved to a bigger brewery, which enabled me to come out. I thought I wanted to get into sales, went into sales, wasn't very good at it. And then by chance, one of the stock takers that they employed lost his license for drink driving. So
ironic.
I got the chat. Were you any good at maths at school? And I said, well, yeah, I was all right, not too bad. Anyway, so then I spent 4 days a week learning how to become a stock taker as a 23, 24-year-old, which was great because it gave me a massive insight into how it all works, margin, etc. And at the time, I didn't realise how important that would be to me going forward. And then I became a trainee area manager. So I spend a day a week with either the ops director, and the next week I'd be with the managing director of at one stage, they were in the top 100 fastest growing companies in the country. Wow. Which was sponsored by Dick Pickle. You might know him as Richard Branson, but that was Virgin, so that was quite good. And that's where the sort of journey started, really, and it was great. Gave me a massive insight into everything, and working for a dynamic, small independent business that was just flying, and obviously the brand of Hobgoblin being part of that. I know that there was a real buzz that Ian Rogers, that still remains one of my best friends, he used to get the figures from Sainsbury's, etc. 11 million people a day were seeing his brand that he literally started for nothing, which is amazing. Sadly, it's not really that strong anymore. But anyway, that's another story. So then I moved on because they sold the business, and I worked for some other smaller independent pubcos, some of the big corporates. So I learned how to do things, and probably more importantly in the big world, that I learned how not to do things. So I did that for a number of years, and then I spent 7 years out, got headhunted off and went and ran some other businesses. One was part of a FTSE 100 business, and that gave me a completely different commercial insight how to businesses work and run, etc., which I would have never got by staying in selling pints. So I did that, and then I ran another business, which I ended up taking through a pre-pack administration, not because I ran it badly, but I took it through a pre-pack administration, then rebranded that business, and I'm happy to say that's still going now. So that's really, really good. And again, it's another learning curve that you'd never normally get in general life. So, and then I sort of did a little bit of consultancy for one or two people, and then went back into the pub industry, which I sort of enjoyed. And then COVID hit. Nothing to do with COVID. It was more the business I was working for. You know, if you're working with 4 different regions in a year, you can't build relationships, etc., etc. So then I stumbled across one or two people, got chatting to them. Yeah, we're turning over XYZ. We're really successful, but we're not making any money. Mm-hmm. So I said, "I'll give me a ring." So we got talking, and then I ended up doing some consultancy for them, which I'm still doing. They had one site at the time, and now they've just opened up their second site. So, something's right. They're great, brilliant lads, very, very talented. But, that business thing about actually converting your turnover to bottom line is probably where a lot of people fail or fall down, I should say. And then there was one or two other people that that got in contact with me, which was quite nice. I'm even working with a guy called Sam Cross that has got a cricket bat making business called OX29. There's a plug for you, Sam. So if anybody wants a cricket bat, then call Sam. And again, brilliant bloke, really, really talented, but importing stuff from India with duty and tax and God knows what else is going on. So making him sit down and go through all his costs about versus what he's selling it for was a bit of an eye opener. So, so anything really, I get stuck into anything, but mainly hospitality is my background.
And your passion?
Oh, massively, yeah.
As well as cricket and rugby and
golf
everything else.
And anything else involved in sport. And my grandchildren.
Obviously. Cool. So we're going to ask Matt some questions on various different areas of hospitality and how you can help. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's start with staffing, massive part of hospitality. So what's one of your tips about employing new members of staff in hospitality?
I think it's clearly defining what the business needs are rather than what the want is. I think it's important that you understand the hours that need to be filled. Always try and do a job description so the people know that when they come in for an interview, nobody comes for an interview and tells you they're rubbish, by the way. Do a job description and think about what it is you actually need and what you want from that member of staff, and pinpoint the hours of where you're short and where you actually need them. And I think that's a really good start, because people, I think we've talked about it before, that when you're running your own business or you're running a hospitality business, whatever it is, they're so busy, 16, 17, 18-hour days, 9 times out of 10 they're knackered. They never get a chance to look above the parapet, take a step back, and what does the business need? Somebody comes in and went, oh, here's my CV. I used to work at the Dog and Duck. They go, yeah, great, when can you start? That's not always the best way of doing it, but I understand how people fall into that trap. So pinpoint the hours you need, pinpoint the type of person that you want, the character, and whether or not they worked in the business or not. If they got the right character and they got passion for customer service, which I know is really important to you as well, you got a chance. You never get a second chance to make a first impression, and that will come up again, I'm sure, Linda. But somebody that's on time, somebody that's articulate, somebody that's smart, because at the end of the day, they are a focal point of your business. Nice. Okay, cool.
How do you spot great potential team member in an interview?
Some of it's gut feeling, if I'm honest, and within a minute or two whether or not you think they're right for the business. But as I just said, nobody comes to an interview and says, I'm really bad at this, so don't employ me, because I'm going to rob you blind, and I'm always going to be late, and I'm going to be hungover most mornings. So again, being on time, being smart, but have a personality. I think personality, characters have sort of gone out of hospitality, because everything just seems to be on that. You're just on the treadmill constantly, but you need people that want to look after people, because there's no rocket science in it.
No.
So just get people with the right attitude that want to be part of a team. But then that's down for you as the individual, as employee, to make sure you understand the type of people that you want in your business to represent it and drive it forward.
Okay. So actually, personality is much more important than practical skills.
Yeah, because if they've got the right attitude, you can train them. If they want to learn, then you can train them. So you listen to the news and you listen to people, and everybody will tell you that hospitality is doom and gloom. It's up against it. Yes, it's been through some tough times, but you talked to me about COVID the other day. I mean, that's 5 years ago. We've got to get over it and move forward. So you can't keep blaming stuff that's happened. You want to make history, not talk about it, really, is another way of looking at it. But I think that there's something like 4.2 million people in the hospitality industry, of which 3-point-something million work in cafes, bars, restaurants, nightclubs, pubs, etc. So it can't be that difficult to get hold of staff if there's over 3 million of them serving you or doing whatever they do. So for me, I've got a real bee in my bonnet, and most of it comes from my corporate background, is that they don't look after people properly. If you're employing somebody, just look after them, train them, invest some time in them, inspire them, make them feel that they can do things that they can't. Doesn't happen. I don't know how many times that people will tell you, oh, we got the best training program, we got the best thing. It's complete waffle. Generally look at, and everyone's different, look after people properly, train them and take them on a journey.
Okay, cool. How important is culture in a in a small hospitality
massively, but then that
team?
comes from the top. doesn't it? That comes from the top. So, if you're a bit of a miserable old fart, then you're not going to really get a great culture across. But if you are a miserable old fart, but you've got somebody that's got loads of energy and loves it, then let them set that culture. So again, back to that job description, what you're looking for, be precise in what it is that you want, because you need to make sure you get the right staff. Then you can look after them, and then that culture is driven throughout the whole business.
Okay, perfect. Cool. What's your go-to advice for retaining staff in a high turnover industry?
I've probably covered it. Look after them.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. It's hard work. You're on your feet, long hours, etc., etc. And, everybody wants a pat on the back every now and again. It's not all about money, but just invest time, make them feel comfortable in their job. Because when you want people to clear tables or upsell at the bar and all the rest, they have to be comfortable. They've got to have the confidence to deliver the service that you want, or more importantly, the customer should expect. But I think the expectation level in hospitality has dropped. Yeah. When was the last time you went out either for a meal or just popped somewhere for a quick drink and you were blown away by the whole experience? I can't remember the last time it happened to me. Can't.
Well, I think also, my training in customer service when I was at BA, smile is one of the biggest things. You walk into somewhere and you're greeted with a smile instead of a grunt is massive. And so many people don't do it.
It's an art form, grunting.
Yeah. Okay. Can great staff fix a struggling venue?
Depends on what's struggling. If you're turning over lots of cash and not making any money, then that's not down to the staff. That's down to you understanding the detail, which I will probably be on about over the next half hour. But yeah, understanding the detail to generate from making sure that your top line sales are great, but you're not making anything. Your conversion rate's poor. So, underneath, we'll go into it. Underneath the top line, if you're not making any money, the detail will be in there. But of course, good staff are the key driver to how your business works, especially when you're away. Yeah, playing golf, watching the chase, going on holiday, or whatever they do. So make sure that you look after people, and it's key. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. How do you get your staffing levels right?
I say that most people will have a half decent EPOS system. From that EPOS system, you should be able to get your time slot analysis. So every hour, every half hour, you can break it down to how much you're turning over, whether or not it's a wet and dry split, and then make sure that your rota matches that. Certainly in some of the other businesses that you have a really bad storm for 2 days, a Wednesday, Thursday are poor, everyone panics, get rid of your labour. Well, the only place you can get rid of the labour after that really is probably going to be Friday and Saturday night. A lot of places, that's going to be 60 to 8% of your weekly turnover is going to be on a Friday and Saturday night. Well, you chop the staff out of then you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. So make sure you've got a decent skeleton rota, which basically means that you've got enough people to run that business when it's empty or it's got a few people in it. But on your busy times and your spikes, whether it's lunchtime, Friday, Saturday evenings, make sure you've got enough staff to deliver a brilliant service, that train, that can upsell, etc., etc.
Okay.
Again, detail.
Any tips about labour?
It's one of your biggest costs, isn't it? Utilities and everything else. But again, get it right. If you get it right, then those people should be generating profit. I think a lot of the trouble is you go to a lot of hospitality places now, people are order takers. Yeah. They don't sell, they just take orders. So, be different, be better than everybody else around you. And that all comes from that culture and driving the right ethos within the business. And you can, I know everyone talks about upselling, but not many people do it naturally. The Americans are good at it, but no one likes the Americans for doing it, but they're good at it. So,
okay, how do you feel about hospitality apprenticeships?
Yeah, I think they're really important because, back to the point that everybody tell you it's hard to get staff, then, the younger you can get those people in, there is a benefit that you get a bit more tax relief that you're taking on somebody. The training that you always, I haven't got time to train. People will come in and train them. Obviously, you do the day-to-day training about how hospitality works, but, the business side of it, they get that training and it helps them on their journey. They can leave with sort of NVQs, etc., etc. So I think it's important. One, it encourages younger people, and two, as an employer, it shows the employee that you are putting a bit of time and effort and care into them to help them develop whatever they want to do going forward. So yes, it's really good. So
we've talked about staffing. Yep. Now we're going to talk about stock control.
My favourite.
Any quick tips for handling cash in a business?
There is a lot less cash now because obviously people paying by card and phone and watches, etc., etc. But Make sure you have an end of day process. Make sure that you are checking the cash. Make sure the staff know that you check cash. I don't know if you've heard of under ringing, but years ago, and it probably still happens now, but a lot less because there's a lot less cash. But if 4 guys come to the bar, they order 4 pints of something, that's £20. Then you give them the 4 pints, you ring in 3, and you put 5 in your pocket. If you're not doing any mid-session cash checks or anything like that, that won't show up until you've got to the end of the month when you hopefully do a stock. But if someone's lifting £100 a night from you 2 nights a week, all of a sudden that's £800, and that won't show until you do your stock. So those type of checks are really, really important. And a business that I was working with not long ago, 80 million quid's worth of turnover, and somebody refunded a glass of water for £50. So, these guys are monsters. So 80 million quid's worth of turnover, not a single cash check, no end of day process. And if I took you out for lunch, because I know I end up paying, let's say a meal came to 60 quid, I pay on card, we leave, etc. End of the day, somebody can go in, refund £60, take the cash out. So your cash is down and your cards are up. But you'll never see it unless you do a check. So for a business that was turning over 80 million, God knows how much they were losing every day or every year. But because they were generating profit, they thought they were probably all right. So just some very, very simple checks just to make sure that, every bit of cash or every bit of card that comes in from a customer goes in your bank account.
Okay. What's the best way of controlling stock within a business?
When you get the delivery, check it, right? So many people will just leave. Some of the guys I've been working with, no, my butcher just leaves it down there and we come in the morning, they leave it at 8. They leave it at 6, you come in at 8. Well, anything can happen to it. Make sure that somebody is personally responsible for checking every single item on the delivery. And if you've got a drayman or a guy delivering food, no matter how much of a hurry he's in, take your time to get the delivery note and then check everything off that delivery note. Then make sure that if you've got a proper EPOS system, you put that into your stock system so the system knows what your delivery is or what it's been. And then that way, when you do a stock or you can do an individual line check, then you know exactly where you're up to. It's really important. So if you've got an EPOS system that there's an add-on of £20 a month to have the full stock program, do it, because you'll save that. I guarantee you'll save that money pretty quickly.
How important is a product range without overstocking?
There's enough information on the internet or from hospitality industry stuff about the products that are coming into fashion, the products that are up and down, etc., etc. So if you look at gin, for instance, when that gin boom hit, all of a sudden everybody's got 20, 30 different bottles of gin. Well, 80% of your sales will come from 20% of those products. Well, if you've got one on the shelf at the bar, you're going to have another one in the cupboard where all of a sudden you've got 20 bottles of gin at 20 quid a head, and you've got a few hundred quid's worth of stock sitting on a shelf collecting dust. So make sure you're not overstocking that way. Get rid of it, chuck it out cheap, do whatever you need to do with it to get rid of it, and just use those key products. Keep an eye on what your opposition are doing. Keep an eye on the trends, but the more stuff you have, the more stuff you're tying up in cash. It's all right for the big corporate boys, it doesn't matter, but it's your cash. So, and if you're doing the same with gin, vodka, rum, that are all quite trendy, and you keep swapping them around, all of a sudden you can have 600 or 700 quid just sitting on your shelf. It's not doing any good. It's just holding your cash up.
Okay, cool. What systems or habits keep stock under control?
Well, obviously checking deliveries in are really important, making sure that you load the system up so the system will give you the answers. Make sure you're doing checks constantly. Make sure the staff know you're doing it. Even if you walk around with an empty clipboard, if someone's at it, they will talk to you and go, "What are you doing?" And go, "Oh, just doing a quick stock. Just checking this and checking this." So a good habit is to do sort of wine one day, spirits one day, minerals, beers, bottles, etc. Always be seen to be on top of it. So the system should be able to give you the information. If not, then talk to me and we'll come up with something to help you make sure you control your stock.
Okay, is over ordering just a stockroom problem or a business mindset one?
It's madness. It's about what I've just sort of talked about having loads of stuff holding up cash. There was a great story where I had a pub in Salisbury and we did about 1 case a week of Holston Pills. I went down there one day and there was 20 cases stacked in the cellar. I said, what are you doing? What's all that about? He said, I got a really nice leather jacket. So I said, I best you send that back, chap. So we rang the brewer and got him to come and pick it up, and his leather jacket, which was pretty naff, to be honest. So got Holston Pills written all over it. Twice times your weekly sales minus your closing stock will always give you 10-day stock holding. Okay? 7 days in a week, you've always got 3 extra days worth of stuff in there. So you get any spikes, you get a random coach turn up, anything like that. So yeah, there you go.
We're going to move on to margin. Margin's massively important in a business.
Who told you?
You did. I knew that anyway. Okay, so how do you mitigate wastage as best you can?
Okay, so back to staff training. Make sure that people are trained. So you are serving pints, not more than a pint. 568 million a pint, so make sure it's that, not 580. When you're serving wine or you're serving spirits, if you're on free pour and you're using the jigger.
Tell me what a jigger is.
So you'll see them behind every bar. There's just this big chrome stainless steel or a thimble.
Measuring
level. So you got 50 mil, 25 mil. You got 25 mil, flip it upside down. That's 12.5 mil. There you go.
Wow.
So, and wine as well. You got one, obviously 125, 175, 250 mil. Make sure that that's what you pour in the glass. So train the staff so there's no wastage. Obviously, days like today, we're stinking hot. You can guarantee if your cellar cooler is going to go, it's going to go when it's really hot and you actually need it.
Yeah.
Make sure that your lines are clean. Make sure that all your equipment is working to being as efficient as you can, because that makes a big difference. You get fobbing, make sure that you react to it quickly. So make sure you've got a contact for cellar cooling people.
What's fobbing?
When they basically ends up looking like a pint of whipping cream. Or a protein shake is quite trendy
Ice
nowadays.
Cream. Yeah.
Yeah, when you pour it, it's all spitting out, etc. So make sure your staff record all the waste. There's nothing you can do about it, but obviously if they record it, if you're doing stocks and you're doing them properly, you want to make sure if somebody drops a bottle of wine, it's an accident, but you still need to know about it, because from a retail value, that could be 15 quid up to 100 quid or whatever it is. So record all your waste, train the staff, and make sure your equipment's working properly.
Nice. Okay. How do you educate your staff on understanding the margin on all products?
Cool, that's a good question. Where'd you get that from? So, scenario, somebody comes to the bar and says, I'd like a gin and tonic. And you say, what gin we like? If they just say, I really want a Bombay or I really want a Gordon's, other gins are available, obviously. But if they don't say that, just say, I'm quite happy with anything. If the staff know what generates the most margin, then that's the one you want to be pouring. Now, there's an argument to say that, is it about your gross profit percentage or is it about cash flow? Every company I've worked for, the P&L is driven by your net sales times by the margin, the gross profit you make from your stock take. But then marketing will come in and got a new product that gives you better cash margin. Well, it's not how the business operates. But if you're a one-man band, you've got a lease and tenanted business, then that's your decision. But at least point the staff in the right direction of what gin gives you either the best margin or the best cash margin, because there is a massive difference.
Okay. Who should run the end of day process?
Somebody you trust.
Who's going to do it properly?
Yeah, but then double check it every now and again, because I've certainly learnt in this industry, don't trust anybody. I know it's an awful thing to say, but don't.
Yeah.
Because you never know when people run across hard times or they need this or anything. So if you, try not to trust anybody completely, because just always double. They may even make a mistake, but if you don't check it, then you'll never know. But certainly make sure they're done every day so you know where you are.
Okay, thank you. Talk to me about kitchen management process
there's
systems.
A goodie. So this is all the boring stuff that no one wants to do. But if you get a visit from an EHO, then it can be a bit of a scary time. So simple things like standards. For something, they always check underneath tables or things you're working on, open up microwaves, look at fridge seals. If things are dirty, then they go much, much harder. They'll ask to see your kitchen management system. So if you haven't got one, get one, which I'll come on to in a bit. So when you see in the paper that someone's got a 2-star, that might not be because of the standards or rats or mice drop-ins or whatever. It might be because the competency in management is not there. So Are you recording your fridge temperatures? Are you recording all your fresh product or frozen product coming off the lorry? It's too in-depth to go into, but you go onto most councils, some of it, self-employed people will have that information from the councils, because you have to register that you're a food business.
Yeah.
So they get that. If you haven't got one, get one, because it's just security, because you don't want EHO. Because if you're running a really good business and you're generating 2, 5, 8, 10, 15 grand a week on food, you drop a bad score, gets in the local press, gets on social media, 3 years of hard graft
down the drain.
Just go down the drain like that, because everybody will instantly go, it's a dirty kitchen, it's not safe to eat. Oh, I went there the other day and got the Johnny Trot. So just make sure that you're covering yourself. Some simple stuff that I've introduced into some of the big branded stuff would be that the end of day checklist is a simple spreadsheet that the chef that's finishing the shift on a Wednesday, maybe off on a Thursday, he just goes around, checks for out-of-date food, because at one stage they were talking about anything that's out-of-date can be a £5,000 fine. Oh. So let's say that, you go in on the first of the month and the milk or the cheese or whatever it was went out of date on that final day, EHO walking at 11 o'clock and you haven't checked it, you're dust. And straight away, as soon as that sends a negative into their head, you're painting a picture that it's not a very well-run business. So just make sure that the chefs go around at the end of the day, tick all the boxes, write down that's to a chef that needs to be used in the next 2 days, etc., etc. So check, and double check, because it can destroy you or cost you a lot of money, or both.
Yeah. I think also a lot of people pick up on the negatives, because everybody looks at reviews these days, right? Before they go somewhere, people will pick up far more on the negatives than they will on the positives.
Yeah. It's just in your nature, isn't it?
I know. We're going to touch on costs now. So talk to me about controllable costs.
Controllable costs. Control the controllables, as I say, Linda. Yeah. So I think with consumables, as they're probably known in the industry, now whether or not it's Blue Roll or D10 spray, or you're buying detergents for your glass washer, certainly chemicals has gone up the same as everything else, and it just keeps going up all the time. So for me, the tip would be treat it like the beer, treat it like you're buying chicken or steak or whatever. You only need enough to clean your business for a week to 10 days, rather than just having a European mounting of Blue Roll, because again, you're tying up cash. One of the business I work with, brilliant guys, really, really good, high standards. Toilets are immaculate, beautiful hand dryer, and very expensive hand towels. Don't need both, do you?
No.
In my head, you don't need both. Looks great, but when you're trying to look after the pennies, then that's the sort of stuff that you can look at. So don't tie it too much cash. Try and set yourself a budget, and what you think it should be costing you to actually clean that business. Now, whether or not you employ a cleaner, because people will nick anything, whether or not it's Blue Roll or polish or spray, cleaners come in early in the morning, they're rifling anything they can, right? So whoever's responsible for ordering cleaning products, make sure that shop around a bit, try and get the best deal you can. And there's also stuff about being efficient. There's some people that will deliver dry goods for food and also cleaning products. So people go, I can save 50p if I drive to cash and carry and get a block of cheese. It's cost them £4 in petrol. So, if the least amount of times you open your door to take a delivery, the more efficient you're being, because one, you're only putting away one order. Two, you haven't got the chef going out for a fag. I've just taken the order in, mate. So, the more efficient you can be, the better. So if some products end up being slightly more expensive, the time you save on labour is going to be more beneficial to you. But shop around, only get the consumables you need, and just keep an eye on it. And then other controllable costs. If you've got 100-litre bins like you would have at home for your recycling or general waste, and you've got the big 500-litre bins, if you've got a contract where you've got 4 bins being collected 3 times a week from Biffa, make sure those bins are full before they're collected, because they don't care. They'll charge you for emptying fresh air. So, get into that detail, make sure that it works. So you might be able to drop a bin, you might be able to drop deliveries, but just get somebody to keep an eye on whether or not you're wasting money where you don't need to. And that's the same with laundry. So hotels or anywhere where you've got a guest room, the way that it works is that these businesses set a par level, okay? So they might just say to you, every time your par for tablecloths is 10. If you send 12 back, they charge you for 20. because they charge you per
over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether or not that's pillowcases, duvets, sheets, anything like that. So make sure you know and you understand your contract, because you'll be paying for stuff that you're not actually having cleaned. So it's quite a cute way of them doing it, but get into the detail and just make sure so if you only send 10 tablecloths back, that's cool, because you're only getting 10 back, but you're only paying for 10. You're not paying for 8, you're not getting clean. So all that's, do you need papers? Do you want flowers on the table? If you do, then great. But just keep an eye on it and make sure that everything that comes into the business is utilised and used in the business and doesn't end up at a car boot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've known people that have taken stuff so much that they do a car boot on a Sunday. No one's checking the costs, and all of a sudden they got their own little stall. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the controllable cost. It's, get into every single line, get into the detail.
Well, and everything that adds benefit to the business as well.
Yeah.
If, like you said before, if people come in to read the newspaper, then have newspapers. But if they don't, save the cost on the newspapers and bring their own newspaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bring their own flowers.
Yeah, so a lot of that's dying out because of social media, and everybody needs strong Wi-Fi. Therefore, people are always on their phone, which in a way is a bit of a shame, because it stops that conversation that always used to go on in pubs. So, so controllable costs, look at every line. Somebody goes off and buys some lemons, make sure the receipt goes in the till, make sure that you're on top of it.
Okay.
It's probably repeating myself and I'm getting boring, but I'm not actually that boring. I promise.
Are you not?
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about fixed costs.
Well, let's get boring. So fixed costs. So obviously utility costs, whether or not you're in a business or you're at home, they're going through the roof. So you got to make sure you keep an eye on it. And chefs have this amazing ability of coming in. Food service starts at 11 or 12. They come in an hour before to prep. First thing they do, they turn the extraction fans on, turn the fryers on, put a pan of boiling water on the stove an hour before you start business. So, that type of stuff is madness. Make sure that a lot of bottle chillers or bottle coolers behind the bar. Some are at the front, some are at the back. They've got filters that suck in the air to obviously keep generating and make sure that everything's working properly. If they're covered in dust, one, it looks awful, but two, that you're making that motor work an awful lot harder. So making sure that the standards are good on those is really, really important. And utility, turn the lights off if you need to have end of day process, boring. But if it means that you're away and somebody's looking after the business for you, then just get them to wander around and make sure that you're not leaving loads of lights on, because it's just so important.
It's money down the drain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then also continue, like you just said a minute ago about the controllable costs, look at the contract costs for phones and banking and PDQs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so obviously because there's less cash and more chip and pin, PDQ, whatever you want to call them, everyone's paying by card, that all of a sudden is becoming quite a big cost to the business. So, shop around, look at your contracts, whether or not you hire the PEDs or whether or not you pay more on percentage. So there's some people I've been working with, they were paying a sort of 3-point-something%, and there's other people out there that are doing it for 1.6%. So that's a massive saving. So, look at your contracts, make a note, however you want to do it, pin it on a wall in the office, which is the normal way, that PDQ contract ends October XYZ, then start thinking about that in September so you can start saving money. So anything that is a contract, whether or not it's banking, accountancy is another one. Yeah. People always have accountancy, and then I think sometimes they overpay because they don't need to. Do the bookkeeping yourself, because you're on top of it. It's relatively simple, and all you need is somebody to produce you a P&L every month or once a year to do your tax return, then fine. But just, look at everything where you can save money, same as you would do at home, really.
And I've got loads of connections with people that will do accountancy and utilities and PDQs and all that kind of stuff. So if anybody needs connections, then, of all the people that I know.
Yeah, and I think obviously with the number 10 consultancy, the bigger picture for me is that the more I can do to help people to save money, and we'll talk about some sexy stuff about, growing sales and how important that is, because it's still the most important thing that we do. But your controllable costs and your fixed cost, if we can do anything between me and you with my contacts and your contacts of making life a little bit easier, trying to simplify it, give you more time to look above the parapet and actually manage the business and save you money, that's what we want to do. So, you've got 475 connections of many different guises from, shooting videos. We're sitting here now with these wonderful people doing this. So anything we can do to try and collaborate and save anybody in hospitality that wants to save money, hotels, cafes, but we don't care. We just want to help, really.
We do.
I know.
So we've touched on costs.
Yeah.
we're now going to talk about bottom line profit.
Yeah, this is what it's all about.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the best way of improving your bottom line?
Well, there's a number of things that we've already discussed, but that's the key driver. And I'm sure there's an awful lot of people out there that think they're doing okay, but deep down they're probably not making enough money, or certainly not making the money they could be making. I was with a client not that long ago, and I talked to them about what's your margin, and people will go, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? They don't know what their wet margin is. They don't know what their dry margin is. They don't know whether or not the stocks are surplus or deficit, people are stealing from them. So I said, well, how do you know if you're making any money? And he said, well, I just sort of look in the bank account. I said, if you're not making any money, I'll put the prices up. Well, that only survives for a little bit of time because
you drive people away. You're going to keep putting the prices up.
Yeah, and this was a coffee shop, trendy coffee shop, great, really nice little business, but people will only go to a certain bit before they go above the corporate Nero, Starbucks and Costa. And if you end up taking the mickey out of them, they won't go because at the end, coffee's coffee, but you like the atmosphere, you like the service, etc., etc. So, yeah, I was shocked, really shocked after 30 years in the industry to somebody go, I just put my prices up because they didn't understand what their margins were. So, therefore, big driver to the bottom line. So, get into the detail, and your conversion for top line to bottom line is where your business acumen comes in. That's the key. There's only two ways of growing a business, Linda, as you know. You've got to get more customers or get more out of the ones that you've got. Yep. And a bit of a golf terminology was drive for show, putt for dough. So you can have all the sales in the world, but if you're not making any money, people are busy fools, aren't they? So understand the key drivers, margin, stock, make sure your controllable costs are in place, make sure your fixed costs are in place and you're getting the best deal you can, and just constantly monitor it. If you're not doing a P&L, suggest you do. 25, 30 years ago at Hobgoblin, the guy that was the ops director was an absolute genius. God bless his soul, passed away not long ago. A guy called Paul Carey, we called Scary Carey because he was scary and called Carey, not Julian. But we used to do a weekly P&L, just ring around the pubs. Obviously, we knew what their margin were, we knew what their wages were, what their sales are, food, wet and dry sales. And we knew then every week on a Monday by 3:00 where each pub was at from a profit point of view. Okay. So when I moved into the sort of corporate world, we're waiting 6 weeks for a P&L to come out, and then you're looking at numbers that are 6 or 8 weeks old. Yeah. It blew my mind that small independent business back in the mid-90s were much better at controlling a business than, these big corporate juggernauts that just plough on through life. But also, that was the best fun business to be in. Normally you get one that are complete mavericks and it's a brilliant laugh and everyone's squiffy. But, they had everything covered, which was just brilliant. So, bottom line is key, and the devil and the answers will always, always, always be in the numbers. And if you're not converting, you struggle to convert your top line to your bottom line, and you can't play golf and you can't watch the chase, then talk to me. I'm no good at golf and I'm rubbish on the chase.
Okay. So we've covered where you find hidden profit in a struggling venue. What's one small change that can lead to a big shift in profitability?
I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but you just understand your numbers. Just understand them. Every penny that comes in, and what I'm trying to do is help the smaller independent pub, cafe, hotel owners, anybody, restaurant owners, whether or not you've got 2 sites, 10 sites, 20 sites, it's the same process. Yeah. So understand your numbers. So every penny that comes in, that's your money. So back to some of the guys I've been working with, the staff are a little bit wayward, or they don't really care because it doesn't matter because they came from a Green King or they came from a Marston's or whatever. It's their money. Yeah. So everything that comes in, you just make sure that is right. So get into the detail, understand the numbers, and that will make a massive difference if you're not already doing it. And even if you're really successful, there's probably more out of it, because sometimes the more successful you are, the more lax you are about it. Yeah. So, that's it. That's the only message I've really got, is understand your numbers, because that's where the detail
and work with a decent accountant that's going to help you understand those on a hopefully month by month basis.
But again, we can introduce a weekly P&L into anybody because it's pretty easy. I can help people through it. It's already there, and then just talk them through how we're going to build that. And then every Monday morning, whether you've got 1, 2, 3, 12 sites, get that information to you, and then you can make some decisions that are live rather than thinking 6-8 weeks down the line. So yeah, that's it.
The next set of questions is on sales and promotions.
It depends on where you see yourself, where you want to pitch yourself locally. Look at the local demographic, but do price surveys, see what your competition are up to, understand, try and match their products like for like. And so do you want to be the cheapest? Strategically, do you want to be the second most expensive pub or restaurant or cafe bar or whatever it is that you're running? See what the local competition are doing, and then you pitch yourself where you want to pitch yourself. Don't forget that wrapped up in price is one of the biggest things in hospitality is the perception of value for money. Now, whether or not you're spending £15 on fish and chips, £22 on fish and chips, you want to leave feeling that you've got value for money. And that value for money starts when somebody walks in the door, what the place looks like, the standards, the service, everything is all wrapped up in that whole visit that you do. So pricing is important. Value for money, or the perception of, is massively important, but do some work, see where the local competition are at, and make sure you're where you think you want to be. That's it, really. But for some of the guys that got leased and tenanted, if they're tied on beers, wines and spirits, then those poor people can't probably buy Guinness for what Witherspoon's salad at. So again, maybe look at your product range. Is your product range right? Is your product range, you may drop a product that you're a bit twingy about because Jack comes in every day and buys it, but if you're not making any money out of it, there's not a lot of point. So really look at your product range, really look at your pricing point, and you might need to make one or two tough decisions, but it's all about you guys. These people work so hard. Now, whether or not you've got a little cafe that opens at 6 a.m, closes at 10, or whatever it is, pub, restaurants, it's hard work. So try and make as much money out of it as possible while you're doing it. So pricing is massively important, but it just takes a bit of time to get right, probably.
Yeah. Well, and also as a business coach, what I do, I would look at your products, what makes you the most money, but also your position in the market. Is versus, your Ryanair versus your Emirates kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where do you want to pitch yourself?
Yeah.
And go with that kind of ethos mantra for you that is where you're comfortable. How do you know when your pricing strategy is correct? Yeah.
Pitch it right. Do your research. Make sure you are comfortable with the type of offering you got and the perception of value. Talk to customers. Don't be afraid to talk to customers and find out and go, everyone's going to say you're too dear, but you know that the Dog and Duck is 10p a pint cheaper than you, or is 20. If the Dog and Duck is 20p a pint dearer, you can put yours up by 5 or 10p.
Yeah.
People might squirm and moan about it a little bit, but at the end of the day and go, okay, I'll give you a free pint. That's the equivalent of 10 lots of discount of the price increase. So you'll soon know whether or not it's right or wrong. Just don't go mad, really, because some people will just
price yourself out of the market.
Yeah, don't do that. But, just be cute with it.
Okay. What about added value promotions?
Certainly from a promotion point of view, it's about the return on investment. So if you're doing buy X amount, get one free, what's that discount? What's the impact going to have on your margin? Ironically, if you do something that really goes off like a rocket, you've done your job, okay? If it starts affecting your margin, your top line would have gone through the roof because all of a sudden you're generating a lot more footfall. Where people fall over is that people will do a promotion, but they forget to tell anybody. So I work for one of the biggest corporates, sadly, and they did an amazing lunch club offer. So if I was taking you to lunch, you walk into the business and they go, oh, we've got a lunch club up, splashed all over the place, right? On menus, poster boards, toilets, everywhere. And then all of a sudden they've halved the turnover that I was going to give them. There was nothing outside the business that drove me in there for a promotion. So if you're doing a promotion, it's about driving footfall.
Yeah.
Not just discounting for the sake of discounting, where a lot of people fall over. You remember Pizza Express nearly burst their bubble because they had so many offers and you get a coupon from here and this, that. They're all day. It went completely belly up, really. So think about it. Think about the impact it's going to have on your margin. But the idea of proposing is to drive footfall. Okay.
What's a good budget to spend on advertising?
I'm not sure if there is a good budget. When you give somebody a budget, they spend it. Okay, so
it's a limit, not a target.
I only spent 400 quid last month. Can I have the extra 200 quid then?
Yeah.
No, you clown. Of course you can't. It doesn't work like that. But it's all about that return on investment. So, if you take an extra £500 now, you put an event on, you take an extra £500, that nets to £400. And then by the time that you've worked out you paid 200 quid for Mr. DJ, karaoke, knobbly knees, whatever it is you're doing, all of a sudden you're down to 200 quid. Then you work your margin out, you're down to 120 quid. Then you've put extra staff on, you've paid for the marketing, for the promotions and everything else. You're not making any money. So you might have a budget of £200 a week or a month, but if that's not generating probably nowadays at least 3 to 5 times what you invest, then don't do it. And I think it's a bit like the rhythm of the week stuff. When you do karaoke every week, you do a quiz every week, you do everything every week, how often do you actually sit down and look at the return on investment? And then what people will do will go, I've had a really good Friday because I've generated an extra £500, but they look over the whole day. They don't look at when that entertainment is on. So if your entertainment starts at 8, that's when you start looking at the return on investment until you close at 11 o'clock. So if you then narrow that down, that might not be an extra £500 because you've had quite a busy lunch. So, budgets are okay, but whatever you spend, you need to do a return on investment on any marketing, any promotions you do. I suppose one of the biggest challenges at the minute is your Sky cost or BT. If you're a sports pub, it's tough because it's done on the rateable value of your business. So you've got BT Sport now, you've got obviously Sky, you've got Amazon that are dipping the toe in the water around Christmas and different blocks in the week. And again, look at it, analyze it, and make sure you return on investment. Sports got so diluted now. So when Sky first came into the industry as a commercial thing, there wasn't that much on. So going to the pub was quite a rarity. You meet your mates, you have a few beers, but now you could almost find something every Monday, every day of the week. There's something on, and then you'll have Champions League where you'll have 2 games on, 2 English clubs playing on a Tuesday, 2 play on a Wednesday. Now you can show 2, but which ones do you show? Because the pub up the road may show the different ones. So there's nothing wrong with talking to your competition to go, well, I'll show all the Man United games and you show all the Liverpool games, or vice versa. So, and also, if you're going to do anything, do it to the very, very best of your ability. And it's easy for me to say and go and spend more money. But if you've got Sky, you've got to have BT if you're serious about football. Because, Liverpool could be on Saturday lunchtime on BT. You've watched it in the pub on Sky on a Wednesday and you turn up and you haven't got BT. So, and then you've got the Amazon that will charge you 500 quid for a block of games in 1 week. So all of a sudden you've got to do an extra 2.5 grand in theory to make that a benefit. But so you either got to be all in, or if you dip your toe in the water, it's quite confusing for the customer. There are some rugby pubs out there that just do BT because all the rugby's on BT, but then when the autumn internationals come along, they're missing out there because they're on Sky and Six Nations or whatever. So, and whether or not it's a band or whether or not it's a DJ, whether or not it's something you have all the time, you've got to keep beating that drum and making sure that you are getting a return on investment.
Okay, so the next question, based on return on investment, which you've just touched on, is what does a good menu look like? Again,
I think it's depending on the area you're in and what your competition are at. If your competition are leading the way, then copy them a little bit. Where strategically do you want that price point? A little bit back to what we were talking about earlier. The core things are really, really important. So your burgers, your fish and chips, if you're running a bog standard pub menu. If you're doing a restaurant, then you'll have a chef with a lot of talent that want to do different things, which is great. If it's fresh food, then you probably need a much smaller menu than you would if it's not fresh food, because of the wastage. You don't need vulnerability, bad weather, then you can waste an awful lot of money. But I'm sure the people that are running fresh food restaurants will know that anyway. But it depends on where you sit. You're in the town centre, a village pub, etc. Don't go too mad. Don't get too ambitious with it. But just make sure that everything you do is to the very, very best quality. And again, that perception of value for money is really, really important. So look what the opposition are doing. Copy if they're really successful. Try and find out from somebody what their biggest selling dishes are, whatever it is, just to try and get a little bit of an insight of what's going on. And there's nothing wrong with copying people at all.
Yeah,
it's the biggest sign of flattery. Yeah,
100%. Okay, next question: what constitutes a good event marketing plan?
Depending on the level of activity or event that you want to do, you're probably looking at least 6 or 8 weeks out. Okay, if it's not a massive event. I think a lot of pubs, cafes, restaurants can become the hub of the community. So if you're a coffee shop and you want to do a Macmillan Coffee Morning. It pull on the heartstrings a little bit. Attaching stuff to charity is a good thing to do because it makes you look like, you know, you're good people, and people like that. And you may get an awful lot of people that never come to your business before that will come again because all of a sudden they perceive you as nice, good people that are trying to do bits and bobs, which is great. So plan it. So 6 or 8 weeks out, make sure that the date doesn't clash with anything. You've got FA Cup final or Wimbledon final or whatever it could be, Glastonbury. Make sure the dates don't clash. Make sure that your key members of staff are going to be available during that weekend. And then it's about the planning and the marketing. So social media is fine because you can do that pretty quickly, but don't overdo it. Make sure that you're hitting the right audience at the right time of the week, right time of the day. If you're doing posters and marketing, make sure it's up 21 days at least, maybe 14 at a push. Make sure they're up in the business that you're, you know, and what you're promoting. And then make sure you're fully prepared. Make sure you've got enough of anything that you might need, the staff, the place looks immaculate, and then obviously your social media, and then follow that up with decent social media as well. So depending on what you're doing, if you do it properly, you can reach an awful lot of people that you've maybe never really reached before. Yeah. And evaluate it. Do your return on investment. Now, if you don't make any money out the first one, that's fine, because, you know, most businesses in the first year don't make any money, but, you know, they're building and building and building. So we touched on earlier, the only way to grow a business is to get more for the people who get more people. So if you do an event that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, that maybe are completely off the wall, off the chart, might help somebody, but as long as it's driving more footfall into your business and you get it right, you'll be fine.
Well, and it's about creating a following, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do something that people want to do, they'll come back and back and back.
Yeah,
and back.
Of course they will. Yeah. So I think it's a bit like when you want to, if you're looking at ways of growing the business, you know, got local schools around you, talk to the governors, you know, try and find out who the TAs are. TAs work really hard. It's minimum wage. And if you can do a night for them where they get some free cocktails or free Prosecco or some free nibbles or whatever, just spoil them every now and again, because they will go back, they'll tell their friends, they'll tell the teachers, they'll tell all the mums and dads that come in as well. Next year, you know, the granny comes down for Sunday lunch, where are they going to come? Yeah. And it's the same with hairdressers. Hairdressers never stop talking, do they? No. Never stop talking. And they see 8-10 clients that get them all in and make sure that they feel like you're really putting on a special event for them. And things like that make a big difference.
Well, they become your promoters, don't they?
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often should managers run through the customer journey?
Oh, I think twice a day. Certainly when you open up. And then again, if you have a really busy lunch, people may be drifting in after lunch then because if you've been hammered, you need to make sure that you're doing it. But it shouldn't just be the manager. You should take somebody with you that you're trying to take on a journey, because, you know, if customers can see it, you can see it. A lot of the time, you don't see the wood for the trees. You know, one of my pet hates is when you walk into a pub, restaurant, cafe, I don't care where it is, and you've got dirty plates and dirty glasses on the table. One, it looks horrific. It looks like you're not in control of the business, but also you've missed an opportunity. Has the customer left with the best experience they can? No. Have you had a chance to upsell? No. Have you had a chance to find out whether or not they've enjoyed their meal? Can they leave you some feedback, social media, etc.? It just looks really unprofessional. Yeah. And a lot of it comes down, it's amazing if you watch, and you'll be doing this now, but you'll go in somewhere and you're having lunch, or you're watching people have lunch and they're just finishing their meal. The staff will wait until that person's left the table, and then they run over like fucking cats to try and clear the table quickly. They don't do it when the people are there because they haven't had the training. They're not got the confidence to go over and do it. Yep. So it's just still about standards and customer service, etc. Yeah. So customer journey to me is really important. That also includes that if you are a food destination on the side of a road, make sure the lights are on at the right time so it's lit up really nicely. The car parks are clean and tidy. The frontage is clean and tidy. The whole thing about everything is just great. And I was driving home the other day, and there's a quite unreasonable pub. Everybody tells me it's great, but on their A-frame on the side of the main road, just before you get to their pub, they're still advertising Easter.
Wow, that's forward thinking.
I don't know whether they've got loads of eggs left over, right? But it's just so they're all going to mount with this. It's just ridiculous. And then not long ago, I saw somebody had put a A4 bit of paper in one of those A4 plastic envelopes, cable tied it to a lamp post on a junction. It had rained, so it had all fizzled out. You could just make out the name of the pub. So part of me wanted to go into the pub and go, oh, what are you doing? what's your psyche behind doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to grow more customers. Well, how many people do you think you'll get? Well, if we can get 4 customers a day spending a tenner, there's 40 quid. You're going to generate yourself 15, 20 quid worth of profit. Spend that on a proper Foamex board and make it look professional. Because one, I wouldn't go there, and two, you can't read it.
Yeah.
So think about, really badly written chalkboards are a nightmare. Up-to-date chalkboards, walking past someone that's got 5 chalkboards outside. I mean, it's just isn't it? Just like,
Yeah.
People do a lunchtime offer. You walk past that pub at 6 o'clock in the evening, they still got this lunchtime offer on. They're not promoting the sport. They're not promoting that you may have an evening offer or whatever. So just constantly be thinking like a customer is really important.
Okay. Perfect. What does good look like?
Whatever it is you do, you just got to be the very, very best version of yourself. And I sort of equate this back to sport, really, because obviously I'm sports mad. But, the people that make it is because they want to be better than everyone else. They're driven, they're passionate. And I don't care what you do in life, and whether or not it's sport or whether or not it's running a business or whether or not it's hospitality, just be the very best version of yourself constantly. Understand what good looks like and just drive those standards. And make people believe that they can be better than what they are, and they can achieve anything. So everybody gets a decision when they wake up. You can either take it on, or you can just sit back and drift through. And it's tough because people get tired. But every day, just be the best version you can. Make sure your business is the best version and the best window, the best shop window it can be. That's it.
Okay.
Be better than everyone else.
Nice.
It's like if you put a quiz on, or you put any sort of competition, karaoke, God forbid, everyone likes a sing song, stuff that you do all the time. Keep reevaluating what that's doing, but what the opposition doing, make sure you're better than the opposition. Make sure the quiz is more fun.
Yeah.
Some people fail because you got some really clever people that watch The Chase. Not me. They will come in and they'll win the quiz week in, week out, right? Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, they don't come to the pub any other time, and they'll have a glass of water.
Yeah.
But I won the quiz. It was very interesting. So you got to jazz it up a bit. You got to make sure it's more fun. Make sure the prize pot's a little bit more expensive. Make sure you have a break during the rounds. Something I did before, where basically when you try and encourage people to go and get a drink, so each table will go and get their order, whatever. You keep an eye on what it is that they've got, what their bill was, and then just give them a ping pong ball with a table number on it. And then before you start the next round, bring out ping pong ball and go, table 5, here's your 37 quid back. That round of drinks on us. So nice. Next week, that encourages people to do it again. So make it fun and just be better than everyone else. And whether or not it's anything, just be better than the opposition and you'll be fine.
I used to run the quiz at our local pub. And we had a petty cash tin, and I had 10 little keys on fobs, all numbered.
I know what's coming here.
Yeah. And every month, the winning team would choose a key out of the bag.
Yeah.
Try and open the box.
Yeah.
Whatever cash was in there, they won it. I think we got through the 10 keys and nobody'd won it. That was a bumper month of people in that quiz, because they wanted to win the 600-700 quid that was in the tin. So even doing something just that simple gets people coming back month on month. Yeah. And it's creating that following.
There's a brilliant thing that I saw, and I nicked it, to be honest. It was very, very clever. And basically, you put £1 in the pot and you get a ticket, a raffle ticket, and you got the 52 playing cards. The 52 playing cards are in a little, like the old pay envelope.
Yeah, yeah.
Numbered one to whatever.
Yeah.
And basically what you do is that every week you do a draw, and then people come in and then buy another ticket and then another ticket until there's X amount left, and then it really, really ramps up. Now, you got to be careful because of lottery licenses, etc., etc. But the pub where I picked it up from, I think the winning prize was about 19 grand.
Wow.
So the key is...
That's insane.
Yeah, so you have to guess which the card is or whatever. So make sure the Jack of Spades is not in the pack for the first 15 weeks, but no, give away a few tips. But yeah, so anything really, really simple like that can really, really generate a lot of interest. And once you've done it once, then they want to do it again. And they, like I said, they might be the first time they've ever come into your business, and they keep coming back.
Okay. So promoting all of that stuff on social media is really important as well, making sure that's up to date, because social media obviously is a really good free promotion resource.
Yeah.
So the importance of social media for a hospitality business?
Depends which way you look at it. So the most successful pub chain in the country is Witherspoons, and Tim Martin just stopped it all, which is great, and I loved it. But it's funny how everybody normally follows Witherspoons, like the big corporate boys, but they didn't on that. But it's not affected him at all. So it's key. It's really, really important. Like you said, it's free. But again, it's about quality. Getting me to do a social media post is like just no point. So, find somebody that's good at it. Find somebody that likes doing it. So therefore they put a little bit more energy and passion. Look at the stats. What's the best time of the day to do it for your target market? How many times should you be doing it? So many people just send out just random stuff, and it's not engaging. No one clocks it. Obviously, TikTok is massively on the rise, isn't it? And video content. We all know now how important that is.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it's massively important, but you need to understand the science and the mechanics of it, and get somebody that's very, very good at it. But it's just a free go.
Okay. And we've got people that can help with that too. The next thing is about standards. Just talk me through standards. I know this is a big thing for you.
Yeah, well, I remember we were having a chat and you said, you went out for dinner last night or whenever it was, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I said, what was your first impression when you got there? And you went, it was okay when I walked in. But we didn't talk about the car park. You didn't talk about the lights. You didn't talk about the surrounding areas or any of the post board, or, the boards have got Easter on it, or they've been kicked in or anything like that. So, the whole thing is really, really important. That's from the way, when you walk in the business, tables clean, menus clean, glasses clean, good product, everything about, toilets. How many times you go to the toilet? Certainly from a gent's point of view, no soap, right? Or there's no toilet roll or whatever it is. And it's just unacceptable, and everyone will tell you that hospitality is really struggling, but really good businesses don't close, and the people that do the simple things very, very well, 9 times out of 10 are pretty good. Now a lot of people are struggling through no fault of their own, just because of costs going up and less and people going out, and 25% of people under 25 don't drink alcohol, etc. I get it, but are you the very best version if you can? Standards are easy because you can see it, you can smell it, and you can do something about it. So to me, it's really, really, people don't get it and they don't see it, but they could think it's more important to be doing stuff in the pub or doing this or doing a social media or just doing Facebook. Well, there's no point attracting more people in if the place isn't clean and tidy. So it's just more important now than ever.
I've got one final question for you.
Well, that sounds challenging. Yeah, go on.
Somebody that is looking to go into the hospitality business.
Yeah.
If you had 30 seconds with them, what would your tips be? It's
a great industry, okay? It should be an awful lot of fun to be in. It's a great industry to be in, right? It's hard work, but it can be really, really rewarding. There's an awful lot of people, the big boys are desperately looking for people to come into the pub industry because they've got these quasar retail agreements, franchises, lease and tenanted. Now, the big boys do not want an empty pub, a shut pub, right? They don't, because obviously it's costing them money.
Yeah.
They would do anything to get anybody in it. So some of the places will take a 3 or 4, 5 grand deposit, then all of a sudden you got a free home. Okay, so whatever job you're on, you think, actually, don't matter where you are in the world, in the UK now, it's going to cost you, what, 1,200-1,500 quid to rent a home, to have all the bits and bobs, your utility cost. You don't pay any utility costs, you pay council tax, you don't pay any rent. So we get an awful lot of people that have been coming into the industry that are probably not good enough, or don't have the talent, or they just want a free home.
Yeah.
And it's just bonkers, right? But if you're looking to go into it, and you're talking to a BDM that's working for one of these big boys, they desperately want to fill that pub, they will sell you a dream. And it's a bit like when people come to an interview, nobody comes to an interview and goes, I'm rubbish, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be a smelly, and I'm going to hangover every day. Oh, and I'm going to rob you blind. No one says it in an interview, do they? So if you're trying to sell somebody the dream, so really think about it, get into the detail again, and just talk to me and I'll guide you whether or not it's a good or a bad job, really. That's it. Make sure you've got a good business plan. There is the pub co thing that's come in that helps the independent person versus the big pub co, i.e. the standards of the accommodation need to be right. You need to get an independent accountant to sign off a business plan. You need to take business advice. You need to get the agreement signed by an independent solicitor. So there's a lot more protective stuff in there, but that's fine because you can do a business plan and people might buy it. But just be very, very cautious, because you might only get one go at it.
Yeah.
You know, how many ex-jockeys, footballers, I always wanted to run a pub,
Yeah.
and they chuck loads of money in it, and then a year later it's boarded up again, and it's sad. So I had somebody near me in Whitney that it was part of a retail place, and it was all glitzy and everything else. They took a room small, about the same size as this, then put a bar on it, and then put tables and chairs in it, and called it a wine bar. And they spent a fortune on making it look a bit glitzy, but they were never going to make it work, so they couldn't get enough bums on seats. And then they opened it in the winter, so you couldn't have even people sitting outside.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, it was gone.
Yeah.
People go, oh, that's a shame. It's just madness.
Yeah.
So think about it. You get it right. The rewards are brilliant. You'll have an awful lot of fun, but take some advice before you jump in if you don't know it, or you've never been in the industry. If you have been in the industry, just talk to somebody that's, that
got experience.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
There it is. There's your answer. Number 10.